Hello, YouTube. Woo. All right. Oops, turn off my sound. That may help. Make sure my other sound is off. It should be automatically. Yep, do not disturb is on. Excellent. All right. TikTok is ready already. Yes. Good. TikTok is, a little warmer than I wanted there, or colder and warmer. All right. TikTok is rolling. We'll flip the TikTok camera. Bam. Well, that wasn't too late today. I was decently ready today, actually. What a surprise. Hey, Marie. Anyway, hey, TikTokers. Hey, Ash. Welcome, everybody. I'm tired. I don't know why I'm tired today. From Sydney. I'm jealous. Oh, Sydney sounds fun. Good afternoon, everybody. Happy July 15th to all. The Ides of July, if that's a thing. Hey, Jorge. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you, Ash. So, hello, all. How are we doing today? Maybe do a little, actually, we haven't done the intro in a while. Introduce yourselves, maybe where everybody's from, because that's always fun. We used to do that a lot. Haven't done it in a while. Yeah, not a notice in a while. TikTok has been punishing me because I did well on TikTok last month. So at least my account always, when I do well, they punish me the next month. So like my videos are getting no views, which means the money is like, it drives me a little crazy because literally the money is probably 1/3 this month of what I got last month. I mean, it's insane the way TikTok works with this stuff. It's very annoying. So in any case, yes. So anyway, thank you for the gift there. Who was that? Oh, Succeed. Thank you, Succeed. Yeah, Montreal, 30 degrees Celsius. That's 90. Yeah, that's good. 70 here. It's actually, it's not 70. My computer's 70. It's 87 here. So I'm like 70. Yeah, no, my computer is 70. Thank you, Richard Bryce, Visionary Max. Bunch of kids coming in. Martin, thank you guys. Mike is unplugged. This is true. This is true. Let me plug the better mic in. Why not? For you, TikTok. There we go. There we go. All right. Mic is plugged in. Hello. Yes, I did forget the TikTok mic. I was close. I was very close today. I got everything rolling quickly. I wasn't delayed. And then forgot the microphone. Marianne, thank you for that. I never noticed the actual picture before. It's ridiculous. It's cute. Anyway, oh yeah, it's always going to be much better with the microphone plugged in, because otherwise it's using TikTok's own, like my iPad microphone versus my good microphone, which is always going to have better sound. Yeah. As long as it's on loud enough. The statue behind me is a fake. It's pretty though. Thank you, Phoenix. It's my goddess of, actually, I think it literally is a goddess of fertility. We used to call it the goddess of fertility as a joke. And then I Googled it recently, and it very well could be a goddess of fertility. It's Mexican. It might be Aztec, but it's not. It says made in Mexico on the bottom, unfortunately. But it's still very cool. It's a really pretty, you guys can see it over here. You guys on YouTube, it's over there. But it's a very pretty statue. Yeah. Mexican Batman, that works too. I already did ask ChatGPT. It did. It analyzed it and said, quite likely fertility god or somebody else. I'm guessing Aztec by the nose. It's very nice though. Exactly. It's a nice duplicate, basically. Thank you, Danny. So it's nice. I mean, it's an interesting piece from Washington history in Washington, D.C., because a friend of mine, a roommate of mine, worked at Citizens Bank. And this statue was in the lobby on that very stand at Citizens Bank in Washington. And when they closed the bank down, they let them take stuff. And they said, "Do you want it?" And she was like, "Sure." And then she moved back to Ireland. And what do? She couldn't bring it back to Ireland, so she left it with me. So anyway, yeah. So it's kind of got a neat little. Did you get it from a bank or something? Oh, that's funny. Why would you think? Or did you remember my story? Why would you think I got it from a bank, Amanda? That's very funny. That's funny you'd say that. Yeah, it was from a bank. Exactly. Which also makes it a little bit of Washington history, which is kind of fun too. Anyway, I was going to say, you must have remembered or you'd be psychic. Anyway, guys, welcome. I'm John Aravosis. This is my show. We talk about the latest news from Washington. We also talk about the latest news from the war in Ukraine. Thank you, Daytonic. Thank you, Masha. There we go, turn my temperature down a little bit because it's hot in here today. Good amount of news today. We'll start with inflation. So inflation ticked up a little bit today. It's okay. It wasn't good news. It wasn't horrific, but it wasn't good news. Basically, inflation is ticking up again in the US. It's pretty much where people thought it would be. It rose the amount. So the markets aren't totally freaking out because it's the amount they thought it was going to rise. The concern is that it looks like inflation is starting to increase because of tariffs, that Trump's tariffs, the inflation is finally kicking in. 3 areas in particular that were mentioned were furniture, toys, and clothing. Now, I happen to know for a fact that toys and clothing come from China. Like most of America's toys come from China. 99% of our clothing comes from abroad. I think it's China as well. Furniture, I don't know. Does anybody know, does furniture come from China? It might. But that basically they're getting very worried that now the inflation is finally kicking in from Trump's tariffs. As we said, the inflation on its own is bad. We've had really bad inflation post-COVID. It finally got decently under control. Trump then has been playing games with the tariffs, and he's now threatening a whole new round of tariffs against, Brazil and the European Union and everybody. Again, China, Russia. Well, the Russia tariffs are a joke. We'll talk about that. But everybody else, furniture comes from IKEA. That is true. Furniture does come from IKEA, though. That's true. Shoes from Vietnam. Anyway, so yes, kind of a mess. So that's a concern. An Epstein update. This was actually kind of funny. So the Epstein story still isn't going away. As you know, Trump caused a bit of a scandal this weekend by basically, I'm going to move my camera a little bit. There we go. Caused a little bit of a scandal by saying he's never going to release the Epstein files. He's never going to release Epstein's client list. Epstein is a very bad man who went to prison and died in prison. And his client list involved men being with underage girls. Let's just leave it at that. And there was talk of his client list having very famous people from Democrats, Republicans, internationally, etc. And Trump jumped on it. It's part of a big conspiracy theory on the right as well. All the crazy Q and that kind of crazy stuff. So it's all part of this. It's part of a larger conspiracy theory of theirs. So Trump jumped on it because Trump was pandering to the conspiracy stuff for the election and said, I'm going to release Jeffrey Epstein's client list when I become president. And Trump's people promised it. And Dan Bongino, the number 2 at the FBI, Kash Patel, the number 1 at the FBI, pandered to the conspiracy. We're going to release it. Well, they come to office a month ago. Trump's Attorney General, Pam Bondi, says, I've got Jeffrey Epstein's client list on my desk, and I'm reviewing it right now. Oh, hello. That's cute. Thank you, Marsha. That was very cute. Thank you, Craig, as well, for the gifts. Blue. It's me, Marsha. So a month ago, Pam Bondi, Trump's Attorney General, says, I've got the list. I've got the client list. I'm going to release it shortly. I'm reviewing it. I'm going to release it. A couple weeks later, people are going, well, where is it? You promised this. And the White House says, oh, there's no list. And people went, wait, what? You literally said it's on Trump's Attorney General a month ago said the client list was on her desk. She was reviewing it. And now the White House last week said, the list doesn't even exist. And they said, oh, she meant something else. Everyone's going, what do you mean something else? Well, this weekend, Trump then confirms the list exists and he's not releasing it. Totally contradicting his White House from 3 days ago. Trump puts out a series of tweets on his Truth Social, which is his own version of Twitter. But the tweets, let me see if I've got them, only because you really have to see and hear these to appreciate how panicked they are from Trump. These were, I've got to see 1 second here because I've got a lot of stuff in here. I want to see, hopefully, otherwise I can Google it really quick, but I want you to see this because his tweets were insane. Shoot. Let me look one more time here. I know I've got it, but I don't know. I'm looking. I want to read you these because these were, like I said, they were just absolutely insane, these tweets from Trump. They were panicked, basically. when they were absolutely panicked. Hold on. Still looking here. Still looking. Shoot. I can Google it if I have to. And I might, because I'm trying to identify it like visually, but with like the, oh, there we go, the small scan. I'm going to Google this in about 2 seconds here because this is annoying me. All right, this is annoying me. Shoot. Shoot. Arg. All right, I'm gonna Google this. Hold on. Trump, Truth Social, Epstein. Because you also have to see the tweets to appreciate how crazed they were. This might be. Let's see. Now this, I think, I'm trying to get like a preview image. Here we go. Okay, this is pretty good, actually. Okay, this is what Trump wrote this weekend. Look at how long, I'm going to read it to you. Look at how long this thing is. I'm going to get the wig. Look at how long this is, okay? Look at how long this crazy thing is. This is what Trump wrote this week. This is somebody who's in a bit of a panic, okay? Let's get our wig. Although my Trump wig is definitely a little tight for me, but we're going to try. Ooh. I still think I look like Martha Stewart or Boris Johnson. It's itching. It itches my nose. How does Trump deal with this crazy ass thing? All right. I'm going to have to get, like we said, I need to get somebody to teach me how to brush my wig. All right. Listen to this because it's crazy. I'm going to pull this up here. All right. Oop. Hold on. Save to photos. I have to open this up so I can read this to you, like I said. Here we go. All right. This is what Trump wrote this weekend about Epstein, okay? What's going on with my boys, and in some case, gals? They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who is doing a fantastic job. We're on one team, MAGA, and I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect administration, the talk of the world, and selfish people are trying to hurt it, all over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein. For years, it's Epstein over and over again. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama, crooked Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and the losers and criminals of the Biden administration who conned the world with the Russia hoax, 51 intelligence agents, the laptop from hell, and more? They created the Epstein files just like they created the fake Hillary Clinton, Christopher Steele dossier that they used on me, and now my so-called friends are playing right into their hands. Why didn't these radical left lunatics release the Epstein files? If there was anything in there that could have hurt the MAGA movement, why didn't they use it? They haven't even given up on the John F. Kennedy or Martin Luther King Jr. files. No matter how much success we've had securing the border, deporting criminals, fixing the economy, energy dominance, a safer world where Iran will not have nuclear weapons. It's never enough for some people. We're about to achieve more in 6 months than any other administration has achieved in over 100 years, and we have so much more to do. We are saving our country and making America great again, which will continue to be our complete priority. The left is imploding. Kash Patel and the FBI must be focused on investigating voter fraud, political corruption, Act Blue, the rigged and stolen election of 2020, and arresting thugs and criminals instead of spending month after month looking at nothing but the same old radical left-inspired documents on Jeffrey Epstein. Let Pam Bondi do her job. She's great. The 2020 election was rigged and stolen, and they tried to do the same thing in 2024. That's what she's looking into as Attorney General and much more. 1 year ago, our country was dead. Now it's the hottest country anywhere in the world. Let's keep it. Oh, God, it didn't even end. I thought it was over. Oh, my God. That wasn't the end of it. Wait, that was some of it. Shoot, I don't know if I can find the whole thing. Oh, here we go. This was the rest of it. Hang on. Oh my God, I forgot it was this much. Okay, I have to show you. This is what I'm telling you. This was insane. Let's see if I can pull up the entire thing here. Okay, this is how long the entire tweet was. It was 2 pages of this. That's how long the entire tweet was. That's why I'm telling you he was panicked. It wasn't just one picture I showed you. The picture I showed you was half the tweet. This is the entire tweet. That is a man who's panicking. Okay, hang on, because this keeps going. Let me try to grab this and see if I can zoom in. All right, hold on a sec. Here's number 2. Oops. That dog. Not raining anymore, at least. You're fine. Go on. Oh my God, go. You're fine. Jeez. Go hang out. Yeah. Anyway, you get the idea. He was in a panic this weekend about this. He was absolutely in a panic about this. So, I mean, and the MAGA people were very unhappy because he's been promising for years he was going to release these files. Now he claims out of nowhere the files were created by Barack Obama. No, they weren't, right? Barack Obama wasn't president for 10 years. They were created by Obama and no one should trust them. Well, if he's now claiming out of nowhere that the files were created by Obama and no one should trust them, it certainly sounds like he's afraid he's in it and he's afraid they make him look bad. I mean, that's what it sounds like. Why else would he not want to release them? The MAGA people are pissed. Now, very interesting. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Addie. Sorry, guys. When I was reading that, I couldn't see the gifts, so thank you for the gifts. Listen to this. This is great. Speaker Johnson weighed in. The Republican Speaker of the House weighed in and called on Trump to release them, the documents. Listen to this. House Speaker Mike Johnson, Republican of Louisiana, this from the Washington Post. Republican of Louisiana told right-wing podcaster Benny Johnson that he supported the release of the Epstein files days after President Trump's Justice Department said the matter was effectively closed. Johnson is a close Trump ally and has never broken so publicly with the president on an issue. Thank you, Marcia, for the cat. I am for transparency, Johnson told Benny Johnson. Speaker Johnson told Benny Johnson, it's a very delicate subject, but we should put everything out there and let the people decide it. Okay, the House Speaker does not disagree with Trump on anything. He's disagreeing with Trump on this, knowing that this information may indict Donald Trump. That's interesting. On the podcast, Speaker Johnson said that Attorney General Bondi needs to come forward and explain the confusion she brewed after she said in interviews earlier this year that the purported Epstein client list was sitting on her desk for review, suggesting it would be released. Bondi and other Justice Department officials now say the client list, which some claim would reveal the names of powerful figures who allegedly participated in Epstein's crimes, doesn't exist at all. More from ABC News. In terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen, oh, this is Trump. Listen to this. This is Trump's explanation. Come on. This is Trump's explanation for why he's not going to release the file. Listen to this. Listen to this from Trump, his latest explanation of why he's not going to release the files. And in terms of the credibility, and in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen, and I would say that, these files were made up by Comey. They were made up by Obama. They were made up by Biden. And, we went through years of that with the Russia hoax, with all of the different things that we had to go through. We've gone through years of it, but she's handled it very well, and it's going to be up to her. Whatever she thinks is credible, she should release. Somebody's worried. Somebody's worried. Yes, the files that a month ago were on her desk being reviewed to be released, and then a week ago the White House claimed the files don't even exist, and then now Trump says they exist, but Obama created them, so we're not going to release them, which is BS, of course. I mean, oh my God. I just, oh my God. So let's talk about Ukraine. Trump, kind of weird stuff going on with Trump and Ukraine. So yesterday, Trump threatened Russia. Trump sort of just realized that Russia, we have to see I may have to put up my, let's see. I may have to put up my, let me put it up. I've got to put my thing on the window to block the sun. I always forget if I don't, wrong one. Hold on, let me put this on my window. Otherwise, the sun's going to hit the camera in about a second here. There we go. That should help. There we go. So Trump yesterday said that he is giving Russia 50 more days to agree to peace in Ukraine, or he's going to put massive tariffs on Russia. The problem is we don't do any significant trade with Russia, excuse me. We do about, thank you, Carrie. Oh, I love that. That's a very cool gift and a very nice gift too. A very cool one. Thank you. We don't do any significant trade with Russia, about $5 billion or so. So it doesn't really matter if Trump is threatening to put tariffs on Russia. It's not going to make a difference. What could make a difference, which Trump threatened, but then the White House backed off, are secondary tariffs, which basically is putting tariffs on any country that trades with Russia. Now, that's interesting. That would affect China and India big time, and China and India would have great influence with Russia. The problem is Trump claimed he was going to do that, and then the White House was asked about it yesterday after Trump claimed it, and the White House backed off and said, well, it's an option we can consider. No, Trump said they were going to do it. Trump lied. Thank you, Masha, for the gifts. Keep the gifts coming, guys. So kind of confusing where things are. He's tacoing, exactly, Don. He's tacoing. The bear was cute. The kind of hard to know what's going on with this. And actually getting to the headline right now. The story comes out today. So, okay. Sorry. More generally, Trump is pissed at Putin. Trump feels like Putin's playing him, and he is. Trump feels like Putin is embarrassing Trump, and he is. Trump claimed he was going to come in and settle the war in one day, and Putin clearly isn't interested in settling the war. Putin wants to win, right? So, right. And Trump's embarrassed by it. That's good. That's very good. Now, Trump has still not made a legitimate threat against Putin. Threatening tariffs on goods that we don't import anyway from Russia doesn't affect Russia. So that doesn't help. It looks like Trump is threatening these tariffs, and again, in 50 days, because he's trying to get the U.S. Senate to back off passing huge sanctions against Russia. So this gives Trump another 2 months, basically, to try to figure something out right before the sanctions kick in. So he's actually doing Putin's bidding again. He's helping Putin by making this threat because he basically delayed the Senate sanctions. Something else happened today. Financial Times, kind of the British Wall Street Journal, Financial Times. Listen to this. Donald Trump has privately encouraged Ukraine to step up deep strikes on Russian territory, even asking Zelensky whether he could strike Moscow if the U.S. provided long-range weapons. The conversation, which took place during the July 4th call between the U.S. and Ukrainian leaders. The conversation with Zelensky on July 4th was precipitated by Trump's call with Putin a day earlier, which the U.S. president described as bad. Thank you, Janice. Two people familiar with the conversation between Trump and Zelensky said the U.S. president had asked his Ukrainian counterpart whether he could hit military targets deep inside Russia if he provided weapons capable of doing so. Volodymyr, can you hit Moscow? Can you hit St. Petersburg too? Trump asked on the call, according to the people. They said Zelensky replied, absolutely. We can if you give us the weapons. Trump signaled his backing for the idea, describing the strategy as intended to, quote, make the Russians feel the pain and force the Kremlin to the negotiating table, according to two people briefed on the call. A Western official who had been informed of the call said the conversation reflected a growing desire among Ukraine's Western partners to supply long-range weapons capable of bringing the war to the Muscovites, a sentiment echoed privately by American officials in recent weeks. The White House did not respond to a request for comment, but speaking to reporters as he left the White House, taco alert, by the way, speaking to reporters as he left the White House today, Trump said Zelensky should not target Moscow. He also said the U.S. is not looking to supply long-range missiles to Kyiv. So, taco is Trump always chickens out. Trump caves on everything. He caves on everything. He chickens out of everything. So Trump basically suggested to Zelensky that he hit Moscow. Oh, hello. That monkey was funky. Thank you, Janice, for the monkey. Trump suggested that Zelensky hit Moscow. Then when it went public, Trump went, I didn't say that. They shouldn't hit Moscow. As I said, unfortunately, you can't really trust Trump on any of this stuff because he vacillates so much. He waffles so much that I just, it's unfortunate, but you really can't sort of figure out what his position is on anything. I will say this, generally speaking, it's good that Trump is clearly frustrated with Putin. That's good. Thank you for the crown, Blue. Thank you, Alice Russell Fay, as well. Oh, I do love that Egyptian thing. That thing's cool. Thank you, Russell. That one's very cool. Um, you know, it's certainly better for Trump to be critical of Putin. I think Trump is realizing that Putin is bad. I think Trump is realizing Putin isn't his friend. I think Trump is realizing that Putin is playing him. That's all well and good. Um, you know, I just I'm not convinced Trump is going to do anything significant, to be honest. You know what I mean? But you know, better not be. Sorry. It's anyway. Oh, hang on a second. I have like my internet has been acting up. By the way, if the internet dies in the middle of the show, it's been acting up a lot. So it died in the neighborhood yesterday, and then last night it died on me again. And so if it dies in the middle of the show, now you know why. So yeah, so who knows what's going on with Trump? I mean, yeah, Trump always chickens out. Exactly. All right. So what else we got here? Oh, Evie, thank you, or Evie. May as well, as I've seen it around a lot. Does this new situation with Trump and Putin lead to World War III? Nope. The Russians, funny you asked that. Thank you, Janice. The Russians are threatening nuclear war again because Trump told Zelensky to hit Moscow. I don't even know what to say with this. Nobody cares what the Russians threaten anymore. The Russians are all bluster. They're all bluster. There's nothing wrong with the Ukrainians hitting Moscow. The Russians hit Kyiv every day. And the Russians have been threatening for 3 years, nuclear war, whatever. No one believes them. I mean, no one believes them. So exactly, yawn. So no, I mean, this doesn't change anything. Also, I do think this, Trump did clearly get worried and backed off. That's true. But no, I don't think at this point, I mean, we're over 3 years into this. Russia bluffs and bluffs and bluffs and bluffs and bluffs. That's it. So anyway, what else we got here? Just looking. Oh, this was interesting. A former Putin advisor, Sergei Markov, did an interview with Sky News. And he said that Russia supports a ceasefire in Ukraine, but only if it includes promises from the British and the French not to send troops to Ukrainian territory. So now the Russians are claiming that they're not going to agree to a ceasefire if the British and the French send peacekeepers after the war is over. I mean, this is every step of the way the Russians demand more and more and more. This is what they do. It's right. It's always new conditions. It's always new BS from them. It's unfortunate. Well, again, NATO screwed up. Biden screwed up. They should have supported Ukraine much more heavily early on, and they didn't. But, you know, it's just unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. All right, what else we got? I think that's it. I mean, there's a lot of little stories. I don't think the little stories matter. A lot of little stories that I'm not too worried about. We'll skip the little stories. Just for fun, I'm going to adjust my camera so I can sit back. Oh, my back has been good, actually, but I'm tired and I like to sit back sometimes. It just feels nice to sit back. So I'm going to sit back. Anyway, hello all. So yes, this is the part of the show we just kind of hang and talk. Any topics you want. Interesting that hello, goodbye. By the way, your name should just be changed to goodbye because you're leaving us right now. But claimed Ukraine was corrupt. Funny you say that because on the International Corruption Index, Ukraine is listed around 105 or so in terms of corruption out of all the countries, like out of 160 countries. Ukraine is 105 on the corruption list. Russia, 140. Russia is so much more corrupt than Ukraine. It's not even funny. So very funny that you think we should pick our allies and we think we should pick sides in the war based on which country is more corrupt. Well, you're right. Russia is far more corrupt than Ukraine, according to the independent analyses. So thank you for asking that question. The U.S., I think the U.S. was, let's see what the latest list is. I thought the U.S. was like 100 and, or what, excuse me, was 25 maybe. Let's see. Was it, hold on. What was it called? Corruption index. It had a very simple URL. Let's see here. It was transparency.org. That's what I thought it was. Let's see here. 1 second. I'm not going to go through all your countries though, because last time people were like, oh, Sweden. And it was just too many countries. All right. The top, okay, so the latest is 2024. The best country, the least corrupt country in the world, Denmark, big surprise. So I'll just do the first. So, interesting, least corrupt, Denmark, Finland, Singapore, New Zealand, Luxembourg, Norway, Switzerland, Sweden, Netherlands, Australia. Interesting. Now, to get to the US, you've got to go down to, we're 28, but that also is, we're 28, but we're tied. There's a number of countries before us. So we're not just 28. We're actually, hold on, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. There's 28. Actually, there are 28. There's 28 countries in front of us. Yeah, 28. We're 28 in terms of corruption. Let's see. Ukraine is, Ukraine's only, Ukraine's 105. Right. I thought we were 104. 105. And Russia is 154. Oh, Russia got even worse. So Ukraine's 105, Russia's 154. The bigger the number, the worse you are on the list, more corrupt. Yeah, see? That's what I was talking about. That's what I was talking about. Out of 180 countries. Yep. So there you go. So yes, tell me about Ukraine being corrupt. Russia is so much more corrupt than Ukraine. The Ukraine, according to the international assessments, it's not even funny. The worst was hang on. I had just pulled it up actually. One sec. Their webpage is very bad. It's a really screwed up webpage. They're using I forget what you call the stupid things, but hang on. The worst is South Sudan, then meaning a little bit better, Somalia, Venezuela, Syria, Yemen, Libya, Eritrea, Equatorial Guinea, Nicaragua, Sudan, North Korea, Myanmar, kind of going on from there. So kind of the regular suspects. Yeah. So, it doesn't sound like they're both corrupt, actually. That's funny you say that. Somebody claimed it sounds like they're both corrupt. Not really, because let me show you the countries that are close to Ukraine in terms of corruption. It's actually very funny because you're going to be surprised when you see the names. So countries very close to Ukraine in terms of corruption: Dominican Republic, Serbia, by the way, Europe, Ukraine, Algeria, Brazil, Nepal. These are countries that are worse. Nepal, Niger, Thailand, Turkey, NATO ally that we promised to go to war to protect, more corrupt than Ukraine. Interesting. Bosnia, trying to see what other countries here. I'm trying to see any other European countries. I'm not seeing any of the other European countries other than those couple ones there. But yeah, but that one always blew my mind, was that Turkey's even worse. So no, Israel actually is pretty high. Israel did pretty well on the list. Let me look. Israel. Oops. What the hell? Stop it. Oh, shit. Get out of here. Israel is ranked 30, not corrupt, because it's not. Hungary, 82. Hungary, pretty corrupt, unfortunately. Greece, 59. Not so bad. Better than Hungary, Theo. So that's a good thing. Okay, we're not going to do every country. Canada, 15. Canada was very good. U.S. is 28. Canada, much better than the U.S. Germany, 15, tied with Canada. UK, 20, better than the U.S. China, 76, not so good. Australia, 10. Australia, very good. Wow. Australia actually did very well. Interesting. Yeah, Australia's ranked 10. You Australians did very well. Interesting. Mexico, 140. Mexico, not so good. That's pretty bad. That's far worse than Ukraine. That's getting towards Russia territory. That's too bad. That is too bad. Italy Italy is an interesting question. Italy's 52. Oh, dog wants more water. 1 second. Italy's 52, so worse than America. Not the worst, but worse than America. All right. All right. Anyway, I don't want to go through every we're not going to go through every country. This is the International Corruption Index. Alexa, raise the temperature 1 degree. I will do the top 10 again. The top 10 again are, 1 second here. So the top 10 are going from the least corrupt: Denmark, Finland, Singapore, interestingly, New Zealand, Luxembourg, Norway, Switzerland, Sweden, Netherlands. I'll do a few more than 10. Australia, Iceland, Ireland, Estonia, Uruguay. Uruguay is really high up on the list. How interesting. La France. Attends. France is 25. You're only slightly better than us. That's not very good. I mean, the US is 28. We're worse. But I'm surprised France isn't so high on the list. Interesting. Austria's 25. You're tied with France. Kind of close to the US too, unfortunately. Yeah, Uruguay, very good. I'm surprised Uruguay is so high up on the list. I'm shocked. That's really... Oh, the Vatican. Now, that's funny. If the Vatican is on, that's actually very funny. Vatican City is not on the list. Too bad. That would have been very funny. That would have been very funny. Huh. Anyway, this is from 2024. So they don't have, so it's the most recent one for last year. Yeah. I mean, it's, I don't want to say who knows how accurate it is, but it's the list that everyone looks to. So who knows, African countries, probably pretty bad. I mean, then again, like we should talk, Anyway. Yeah, I think the U.S. is going to, the U.S. is probably going to drop some, I would imagine. Thank you for the kitten. Thank you, Janice. Keep the gifts coming, guys. Egypt, I don't even remember where Egypt was. Well, how did Egypt score, Alice? Yeah, check it. It's transparency.org, I believe. Actually, well, no, I think that is the corruption. It wasn't just a transparency list. That was the corruption list, isn't it? Hang on. Now I'm curious whether that was corruption or transparent. No, that's corruption. Yeah, that's the corruption index. Yeah. That's what I thought. It's not just transparency. Yep. Interesting. Okay, that's very interesting. Afghanistan is towards the bottom of the list. It's very bad. I remember Afghanistan. It's kicking the camera around. Afghanistan's pretty bad. Yeah, not surprisingly, right? The absolute worst. Who did we say the absolute worst was? Was it South Sudan or something like that? Who was the worst again? If anybody has the list, or no, but it was South Sudan. There's 2 Sudans apparently. I'm not too up on this. South Sudan, yeah. So, Ukraine actually scored very well. Guess who actually is towards the bottom of the list? Russia. Russia was like the 153rd most corrupt country in the world, putting them towards the bottom of the list. Ukraine was only about 105, which is much better. So like number 1 is perfect. Ukraine's at 105, about halfway through the list. Russia's towards the bottom because Russia is far more corrupt than Ukraine. Funny you should say that. But as I always like to tell the trolls, I'm glad you think that you should not give money to a country and you should not be allies with a country that's corrupt. That's great because Russia is more corrupt than Ukraine. So I guess we shouldn't be their ally. Okie dokie. Works for me. Works for me. Anyway. Well, the trolls are upset today because I put a saucy title on TikTok. I said, because Trump called for Moscow to be bombed. And I knew the trolls were going to love that. so, so they're showing up today in anger for Mother Russia. So anyway, YouTube is far less. Yes, YouTube is far fewer trolls than TikTok. That is true. TikTok has its own charm. I mean, TikTok is a lot more interesting, I think. But YouTube is definitely more mellow. Yes, absolutely more mellow. This is true. Yes, the magic mods. Denmark was the least corrupt country. So, yep. Good old Denmark. Anyway. What else? It's funny. I thought although I did cut a couple of the stories that I did not think were that interesting. So, TikTok does have the chat, although the chat isn't too bad right now. I would say TikTok chat can fly by. It's not flying by too fast right now, though. The website is transparency.org. China was in the 70s? Oh, that's interesting. Do I think China and Taiwan could end up scary? Yes. Yes, I do. Because the Chinese probably will invade Taiwan at some point. Thank you, Al, for the gift. I mean, when did all of this go wrong between Russia and Ukraine? You know, you'd have to ask a Ukrainian to really give you when it started to go wrong. Things certainly didn't go well when the Russians killed millions of Ukrainians in the 1930s. Things did not go well when Russia, forced Ukraine to be part of the Soviet Union. Brutal dictatorship. I mean, yeah, Haggis, you're leaving us because that's actually not even true. I see the Russians are pissed today, clearly. Ooh, yes. Yeah, the Russians basically took Ukraine hostage as part of the Soviet Union. They took a number of countries hostage. They then killed millions of Ukrainians in a famine on purpose. And it kind of just went downhill from there. Oppressed the Ukrainians like many other countries up until the fall of the Soviet Union, 1991. And then afterwards, Russia wants to reconstitute the band. Russia wants its countries back. Russia pretty much dominated the Soviet Union. Soviet Union was a country made up of 14 countries being held hostage by Russia, basically. And the Russians wanted the Soviet Union back. And that's why they're trying to take, and they're literally trying to annex Ukraine. They're trying to make Ukraine part of, they actually made part of Ukraine Russia. They're claiming the part of Ukraine they invaded is now Russia. They want to wipe Ukraine off the map and make it Russia. And they eventually want to go after the Baltic states, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia. They want to go after Poland because they controlled Poland as well in a different way as part of the sort of Soviet bloc of Eastern Europe. And anyway, that's what's going on. So the Russians, where does this go back to? It may go back even before that. I don't know my Ukrainian history pre-1921 or 22, whenever it was that Ukraine was forced into the Soviet Union. But it goes back over 100 years of the Russians trying to oppress their neighbors, basically. So, Yes, Jens, Shakespeare did write something is rotten in the state of Denmark. Yes, that's Hamlet, exactly. Anyway, oh boy. Oh, interesting. Scully, I'm not sure what I know FSB, their Duman agree to legally open their prisons again. I'm not sure what you mean. What is that? South Sudan and Somalia are bottom of the corruption list. Yep. Any records related to Epstein? Yeah, there's an amendment the Democrats are trying to force in the House to make the Epstein documents public, but Republicans, of course, are opposing it. Big surprise. Hand is doing well. I mean, it's still, tight. I still have to do like one more stretch this evening because it's tight. Actually, as I'm saying this, I have been doing baking. I made some Greek bread, some Greek Easter bread that I make for breakfast a lot. So I just made that today. So that's sitting on the counter cooling. So yes, moving my fingers again here. Yes, I've been exercising. The doctor said we are 3 weeks past surgery now. But the doctor said every day, 2 or 3 times a day, I'm to stretch my fingers and basically, get it to the point where I can clench my fist, which I'm almost there. Oh, there we go. All right. There we go. Now I'm getting the finger there. It hurts. I hate it though. Well, the problem is because it hurts a little bit and I worry that I worry I'm going to hurt it because the wound is pretty much healed. Now, he said in 2 days, the wound should be considered healed. But it still worries me a little. And the knuckle is still swollen, so the knuckle still hurts. See, it's still like when I do this, it won't go straight up like this. I have to kind of force it. I'm going to force it on the table where it's better. Yes, my Greek Easter bread is it's a bread that a lot of Eastern Europeans make as well. Everyone's a little different. But it's I say the recipe reminds me of Jewish challah bread, but it's not because I've had challah. It's a little bit sweet, enriched with eggs, like 2 eggs, good amount of butter. Typically you put a Greek spice called mastich in or masticha. I can't, I've got it, but it's a pain. Or you can put I use masticha, but I made it the other day with my masticha. It didn't taste much different. What I learned years ago is you can use vanilla instead of masticha and the flavor is almost identical, which is amazing. My aunt who gave me the recipe, I told her about it once. She said she didn't believe me. And Aunt Rose was a great cook. And once I brought her a slice and said, try it. And she said, this is very good. She goes, you're right. It's the vanilla. Somehow the vanilla mimics the flavor of the masticha, basically. So very good. Yeah. Any case, it's very good. Machlepi. I've never used machlepi. I don't have machlepi. I don't know what I don't really know what machlepi is. It's different than the masticha, right? But I've never. Usually we use the masticha because I've got the masticha, the little resin. But it's very good. It's a little sweet. I don't make it the traditional way because it's not worth it. Traditionally, you're supposed to you make a braid and you put eggs on top with sesame, and the sesame is very good. But I will show you. But I do a very simple version. I do a very simple version that I just let rise, and it then is basically sandwich bread. It's really good. It makes wonderful not sandwich bread, it's breakfast bread. You slice it, put butter on it. Oh my God, it's a little bit sweet. There's cinnamon too. Yes, I should have added that it has cinnamon. I put a little bit of orange extract as well. Some people we did not grow up with orange in it. A lot of Greeks do. Some people, they'll put like orange rind or whatever, just a little bit of orange extract, not too much, like a third of a teaspoon. It's very good. it's a very good. So I will often have it for breakfast. French toast, probably pretty good. You wouldn't want to let it rise too much. I've put it is like a brioche. It's like a little bit of a sweet brioche. Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it, Fallen. But like a sweet brioche. Also it depends who makes it. Each family's recipe is a little bit different. It does proof well in the proofer, exactly, Callum. Bread pudding. The only thing is you'd have to let it rise less, which traditionally lemon would be interesting in this. You have to let it rise less for it to be a little thicker if you were going to use it for pudding or something like that. Because I like to let it rise a little so it's softer. But traditionally, we would make it and not let it rise that much so that it's a thicker bread, which it's very, but again, toasted. Oh, I was telling Callum because Callum makes it now. You really need to toast it. It's probably similar to panettone, but I hate panettone. So it's not that similar. I've never enjoyed panettone. I hate panettone. I find now then again, I've only had that commercial panettone, the one in the big box, and I've always found it to be kind of, kind of gross. So I don't know. I've never had anything quite like this. And like I said, I've had versions of Greek ones that I didn't like. I like my mom's. Other ones, you sort of get used to because since it's sweet, you get used to your level of sweetness, And mom's, and I really did like mom's. I have it down to a science now. Or Callum's got the recipe. Sudeki, exactly. I even have like sort of weighed all of the weighed the flour, what kind of flour. What I found was using King Arthur bread flour works really well. I even add a little bit more of gluten, and with the King Arthur bread flour, it turns out perfectly now, like consistently perfect. Regular flour, I don't know. I'm suspecting if you add a little more gluten, you might be okay. And I sort of talk about that in the recipe, but it's a wonderful recipe. You still have to know how to make bread, because bread, when you're making bread, you still have to have an eye for, does it need more water, less water? It's not always easy in that regard. But this recipe, I mean, again, Callum can make it. So, but yeah, I'd be curious to have fresh panettone. King Arthur is great. It's very expensive. I try to buy it on sale. So it's when it's the price of other, when it's sort of $4.50 for a bag instead of $7 or $8. But I gotten a bunch of bread flour on sale, the King Arthur, and bought many of them. But I'm running out soon, so I'm gonna have to use the regular King Arthur, add some gluten and see how it works. Because I asked ChatGPT to compensate. I was like, okay, here's the label from King Arthur. Here's the label. Make this bread flour. And I said, oh, okay, you can take regular flour, add this much gluten. King Arthur flour, add this much gluten. So, gluten is it a protein? I always forget. Gluten, is it a protein? Gluten is the stuff in bread that makes it stretch. Like when you see dough, it's a protein. Thank you, Joe. I thought it was. When you see dough, like, Italians making pizza and the pizza dough really stretches, right? But it doesn't break. That's the gluten. The gluten is the reason you need dough is to develop the gluten and to make it into long strands that hold together so the bread can rise like a balloon and not explode. Right? It doesn't rip. It doesn't crack when it rises because those gluten strands hold it all together when it expands. So sometimes the elasticity, exactly. So sometimes when you're making bread, you'll put a little more gluten in. You can buy wheat gluten. It's like a flour almost. And you can add a little more gluten. For example, if you're making whole wheat bread, you typically would add a little more gluten because whole wheat doesn't have as much gluten naturally in it. And what I found with this recipe is adding 1 tablespoon of gluten for the amount of flour I've got seems to be the sweet spot that kind of helps. It helps. Anyway, hello. Hi, Molly. But I love baking. Yeah. I don't want to say gluten's the glue. I think glue maybe is the wrong word. Gluten is the stretchy stuff that makes dough so you can stretch a dough on the counter to make a pizza and it won't rip. It's the gluten that allows it to keep stretching without ripping. If you don't develop the gluten, if you were to spread a dough out, it would just rip into pieces because there's nothing to stretch. Gluten turns it into this, it makes it stretchy and interconnected so you can stretch it out or it can rise from the yeast and not blow up. Because otherwise it would rise from the yeast and fall apart because it wouldn't be elastic. It makes it elastic. There you go. Yeah, exactly. Makes it rubbery and smooth. There you go. Yep. Bread, I love bread, but bread is something where you do have to kind of learn, you have to learn. Cameron, what we do typically is we do politics, and then toward the end of the show, we often veer into other topics. And because I love baking and and food. This audience loves baking and food. We often get into food topics. So, and I like to cook and stuff. So we sort of finished with the politics, and now we're doing food. I thought you said that King Arthur's down the street from me. That's very cool, Tina. Shortbread. I do love shortbread. I try not to make it too much because shortbread is like pure butter, but I do love it. Um, but yeah, baking bread. I love baking bread. I always love baking. I mean, I find cooking in general, but baking especially, always felt to me like chemistry. It was like science. I felt like I was a mad scientist when I bake, or I do when I bake. Because like bread, you're taking flour and water and milk and butter and making it into this big thing that turns into something totally different. I love that. I just find that fascinating. Um, Brioche, yeah, brioche. I like brioche. It's not sweet, of course, you know, but I haven't had brioche in a long time. It is very scientific, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Well, like I said, Mom's recipe was exact enough, but not really. Mom's recipe literally had like 2/3 of the flour was in her recipe, and then she said add more until it's the right consistency. And I finally measured it out, and literally, she only had like 2/3 of the flour in the recipe that it needed. And I was like, how do you tell somebody how much flour to put? So I literally weighed it out, and now I've got the exact measurements for the flour I'm using, which is what's so hard. Different flours use a different amount of, different flours are different. What I mean is different brands of flour are different from each other. So you need different amounts for bread, which can make it difficult, you know. Andouille sausage, that's interesting. Anyway, so yes, I may have, if I get hungry later, I'm going to have a little slice. Oh yeah, you could go to Amazon or go to any local store, health food store, anywhere else you can buy gluten, vital wheat gluten. But you can find it on Amazon too, but only if you're making bread, and if you're making regular white bread, you probably don't need it. I do not use a machine. It took me forever to figure out. I finally figured out how to use my Cuisinart, use my KitchenAid to knead the dough. And now I measured that too. For this recipe in the KitchenAid, it's 10. You basically mix the dough, use a regular hook or use a regular paddle for like 2-3 minutes, or 2 minutes maybe, then let the dough sit for half an hour covered, then KitchenAid dough hook for 10 minutes. And that's the sweet spot. If you don't let the dough sit, it doesn't work. So there's a lot of and that's not unusual for bread recipes. You often want to mix everything and then let it sit 20 minutes to sort of absorb. But yeah, no, I've not used a bread machine. Sometimes you can use a Cuisinart if you're lazy, except this recipe is too big. If you use a Cuisinart, a food processor can knead the bread in about a minute. The problem is you don't want too much dough or it's a mess, but otherwise it's pretty cool. Cuisinart, KitchenAid, you want to be careful because if you're using wheat flour, you can burn out your KitchenAid. White flour, you should be okay, knock on wood, with your KitchenAid. But wheat flour, you could burn it out, so be careful with that too. Anyway, it's fun. Yeah, pasta I've only made once. I was not successful, but I want to learn to make pasta because I love pasta. But I know it's not hard, but getting it right is not easy. So I need to learn to make pasta. The weather effect on bread, certainly. Like today, the recipe was a little dry. And sometimes I find what's really weird with bread, anybody who makes bread maybe knows what I'm talking about. Sometimes with bread, what's really hard is it's not clear if it needs more water or more flour. And I've had that happen where the dough isn't being right, but I'm actually a little confused as to whether it's too much water or too much flour. Like you kind of go, wait a minute, what's it doing? Like today it was off, and finally I went, this is dry, and I added some water and it worked. But it can be very confusing. Oh, you've been making galaktoboureko. Crystal says it's a Greek dessert. Went to Greece and tried it. Tastes the same. Oh, good for you. Wow. Galaktoboureko is galactoburico is basically phyllo dough with custard inside. When it's good, it's very good. You need a good recipe because, like, I think moms, we would make the recipe here in the States, and sometimes maybe mom would cut back, but sometimes if you don't use whole milk, if you don't, or even better, it's probably better with cream. It ends up being like a custard that's a little milkier than custardy, than creamier. And like a custard without enough fat is going to taste like kind of light pudding rather than custard, you know? Galactoburico. I can try to type it maybe. Hang on. Let me try to type this. Galactoburico. That should be galactoburico. That should be right. What I just wrote should be correct. But if you get a good recipe, it should be, I'm assuming it needs lots of fat because when I've had it, I often find it, exactly. Or it's fallen wrote. You can use an E or an I, of course. But it's if it's good, it's very good. The other thing that's very good, if it's good, is bugatsa. That I think is, I don't know if the bugatsa recipe is that different from galactoburico. I'm going to ask ChatGPT actually. But bugatsa, the same thing. I've had good bugatsa that was to die for, not good bugatsa that I was kind of like the galactoburico. When it's not great, it's okay. What's the difference between, Sasha, stop. Quiet. Bugatsa and galactoburico. Will you stop, please? God. She wants a little more water. 1 second. Puff pastry, really? Oh, that's interesting. Oh my God, you. Oh my God. There. All right. Let me see here. Let's see what the difference is. Bugatsa, pastry that can be sweet or savory. Filling for the sweet version, usually semolina custard, light and creamy. For savory, interesting. I didn't know it could be savory. Phyllo, thin, crisp phyllo leaves. Wait, what's the difference? In short, bugatsa can be sweet or savory, light custard, no syrup. Galactoburico, always sweet, richer. Galactoburico has a richer custard. Oh, that's surprising. Okay, I'm a little surprised by that. I'm a little surprised. That's surprising to me because the bugatsa I had that was good was to die for. Galactoburico, I often find, is a little light for my tastes. I like it a little heavier. Interesting. The Greek twist cookies, yeah, those are koulurakia, which I like. Actually, my favorite is Paksimavia. Their biscotti, Ashley can tell you, they're biscotti that I would say are way better than biscotti. They are, we make them for funerals and things. So like when somebody dies, you bring them to the restaurant because the family takes people to the restaurant for dinner afterwards, and the family pays for dinner. And you bring them to the restaurant and they put them on the table after the dinner. So they're like for funerals, but they're my favorite cookie. And I would like occasionally have mama like, please, can we just make Paksimavia? Oh my God, they're so good. Yeah, Ashley had some. They're really good, and they're twice baked, like biscotti. Biscotti is bis, to, by, cotti, cotto, cook in Italian, biscotti. Because you cook them once, you cut them, and then turn them sideways and cook them again. They're a pain in the. We made them. They're a pain in the ass, but they're very good. I mean, they're cookies. They're cookies. I mean, there's nothing in them. They're, I mean, I could look at the recipe, but they're cookies, but one of the thing is it's enough butter so that they're very crisp, but they're not hard, but they're crisp. And you cook them twice so that they're, not for these, not the ones we make, Fallen. The ones, I mean, our recipe is crisp. It's not hard. The ones we make are not hard. My mom was a good cook. Mom's recipes to die for. Very good. But I'm going to see if I've got the recipe here handy, but this is another one where they're all different. So that see, it's going to be in my Dropbox. They're all different so that if like I don't like other people's versions, I'm gonna have to download this. We'll see if I can download this. Like Sasha, no more, stop. Other families will make them at the funerals and things, and I don't like them at all. So it really depends. Use oil in your biscotti. Well, oil versus butter is an interesting debate. For example, I had learned that cakes, if you use oil in a cake, it generally is going to be moister than if you use butter, even though you'd think butter is like richer and pure or something, right? Oil actually can make things moister. Now I'm going to try opening my Dropbox. I'm not sure if I can get in here. I may not be able to. Let's see. Maybe continue with Google. I don't know. Let's see. I'm going to try to get in here. My Dropbox was uninstalled on my, it was uninstalled on here. I don't know if it's going to let me in. This may not be the right Dropbox. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I think that's the wrong one. Hold on here. Signed out. Is it this one? I don't know. Oh, shit. Shit. I don't know. I'm a little afraid I hate this when I think I'm creating a Dropbox account. Yes, Ashley makes a wicked tiramisu. Let's see. I'm hoping I'm not creating a Dropbox account. Oh no, it's creating one. Don't do that. All right, trying one more time. Otherwise I'll find it later, but it's on my phone, but my phone is preoccupied at the moment. Here we go. Because I'm using it as my camera for Discord and YouTube. All right, I think this should be the Dropbox. Security code. Really? My mobile authenticator app, except it's over there. Oh, come on. If it's not here, I'm gonna have to do this later. This is driving me bonkers. Oh my God, now the authenticator app is logged out. Oh, forget it. All right, this is not gonna work. You know what? All right, this is not gonna work. Yeah, I was gonna try. Karidopita, I'm trying to remember what that is. What is karidopita? I always forget. That's not walnuts, is it? Now you guys have me wanting to find this. I'm gonna do it on I can do it on my computer though, Dropbox, I think. Dropbox, let's see. It always takes me a minute to actually find, I like my authenticator, but on this iPad, it's not logged in. Paximadia, here we go. Here we go. The Arose, those might be the ones, although these may be the wrong ones. I want moms. I want moms. Is that moms? Hold on. Paximadia. Yaya. Is Yaya's moms? God, now I'm forgetting. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Yeah. It's like 1 pound butter, 2.5 cups sugar, 4 eggs, 1 cup walnuts chopped, 6 cups flour, ½ teaspoon soda, 3 teaspoons powder, cinnamon, orange rind. Oh, okay. Cinnamon and a little orange rind. Yeah. But the problem is, of course, we have multiple recipes here. I think that's the one. I don't know if that's the one now. I'm totally confused as to which recipe is which here. Oops. Stop it. Yeah, now I'm confused as to which recipe. Now I'm getting annoyed actually because I'm trying to figure out which recipe is mom's. Because we've got a few here. But the one that was my grandmother's is probably the one then that mom. Oh, is it this? Wait, this one? Hold on. No, this is, the wife of the priest at St. Oh, this is the one. Paximadia, mom, the wife of the priest at St. Andrew's. I love this. Mom got this from the wife of the priest at one of the churches. I think this is the one we use. Yeah. Yeah, this is the one. Actually, this is classic. As only mom I will take a picture and show you, as only mom can do with these recipes. It's such a mom recipe. I'm laughing. Hold on. This is cracking me up. Because like the editing of it is what cracks me up. I'm hoping to God, I think I should have this in my recipe book. Hopefully, I mean, with the editing in place. All right. So this is the recipe, but I'm laughing because I'm going to show you guys that she took the original recipe and edited it. So it's like the cups of sugar changed, the soda changed, the powder changed, right? I mean, this is the basic recipe. You can screenshot it if you want, but then you still got to kind of do it correctly. You know what I mean? You've got to make them into little loaves that are pretty thin. I mean, it's a bit of it. You kind of have to Google how to make them. I'll show you guys. Hold on. I've got to pull up the camera so I actually can see you all here. 1 second. Oh, there you are. So yeah, you can see what mom did with the recipe, which is very funny. Kind of changing it all, but it's good. This was a very good recipe. And then cinnamon and orange rind in the corner, which we forgot. It does make a little bit, like this is a lot. I would do half of this recipe. It's very, the thing is, like when I've had biscotti, I've never liked the biscotti. I've never had biscotti I've liked. Let's put it that way. I'm sure there are good ones, but I've not had them. Exactly. This part of the show, the trolls go, wait a minute, we're supposed to be fighting over Russia. But that's interesting. Yeah, I will have to try a good homemade, like I said, like biscotti in cafes, they're hard. I don't like them. Whereas I've never had a homemade biscotti really, ever. So that would be curious to try at some point, and see how it really is. So anyway, but yes, I do. I love baking Paximadio, although we made them at mom's funeral last year, which was not fun. I mean, they're just such a pain in the ass to make. It's a lot of steps for these two, because you're baking them, you're cutting them, you're turning them sideways. They take up the oven. It takes a long time to bake, and if you're doing multiple batches, you're cooking for hours. You don't twice bake them. The only thing is, you don't know. They're quite good. I used to like them fresh out of the oven at the first bake, because of the first bake, they're still soft inside, which is very good. But after the second bake, they brown, and is it the Maillard effect, where it caramelizes, so to speak. So they brown, and it turns into something else entirely. Oh my God, they're very good. Oh, that's why biscotti are hard. They're made to be dunked in milk or coffee. Okay, yeah, makes sense. My dad always liked that. I never liked it. He liked hard cookies dunked in his coffee. I always found it kind of gross because the cookie would get soft, and then you'd have cookie mush at the bottom of your coffee. I was always, he loved that stuff. He used to get, I think he used to like the, which I like too, the Salerno butter cookies, with the circle at the hole in the middle. I used to like to wear them as rings, and he used to like to use those in his coffee. I haven't had those in. They're basically shortbread cookies, really. Salerno butter. I haven't had those in. Do they still make? They must still make them, don't they? Have a good night, Alice. I find it gross. I don't like gooey foods, and I found cookies in milk or in coffee to be gooey. Oh, the windmills. I did like the windmills growing up too. I love the windmills. Yeah. Dollar Tree still has them. Tea and biscuits. Yeah. Now I found it just like, I can understand the concept, but I didn't want, didn't want that. Anyway, Dollar Tree. That's interesting. Okay. Yeah. Salerno butter cookies. Those are good. Again, very fat. I'm sure they're all pure butter, but very good. Anyway, but they get slimy. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I know the Tim Tam thing. Exactly. All right. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off. Hey, Bjorn in Sweden. We're leaving right now though, but thank you for joining us. I'm going to sign off, guys. It's been an hour and 20, and the voice thing, we're trying to be careful. Thank you, Janice, for the bear hug. Good night, Jeffrey. All right, guys, have a good night. I will be back tomorrow night, Wednesday, 6:00 Eastern time, US. Kali Nitha Fallen. Good night, everybody. I will see you all mañana. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you, mods. And I will, hang on, gonna do my usual sign off Discord first by Jeffrey. Thank you, Hazel. Oops, hang on here. Boom. All right, YouTube, say y'all. And then TikTok.